the year 2050. The world's temperatures have risen by over 5 degrees Celsius. Widespread drought has caused crop failures across the globe. Food supplies are running low, sparking panic and rioting. The world is gripped in a food crisis. People are going hungry, and it's going to get worse. Much worse. All this may just be a glimpse into the future, but experts predict that it could be a reality in just 40 years.
We're in trouble as a civilization. I'm not so concerned about our species becoming extinct because I think some of us will survive. The question is whether civilization as we know it and the huge population that exists in the world today will survive. When we look at earlier civilizations that declined and collapsed, the ones whose archaeological sites we now study, like the Sumerians in the Middle East, or the Mayans in Central America, or the Eastern Islanders, it was the food supply that gave way and led to the decline of those civilizations.
In the past, these disasters only affected each isolated population. But today, with our interdependent global food system, if food did run out, we could all suffer. Today, a farmer no longer just grows food to feed his family. His harvest is feeding the world. The world's food system connects one country's food supply to another's, allowing the buying and selling of local crops to happen in an international market. And all that trade takes place in the octagonal pits of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange.
Farmers in Russia, farmers in Australia, farmers in Iowa are all interested in the price determinations that occur here. So a lot of the world grain trade occurs because of the prices that are set here each day.
Here, the world's food is traded on a daily basis. It's one big farmer's market. But the buying doesn't always mean truckloads of grain delivered to a warehouse. There are buyers here with no real interest in the physical food being traded. They're hedging their bets and hoping to cash in on the price shifts. The artificial demand they create in the market has led to volatile prices in the past and has been blamed for the grain price surge in 2008. In June of that year, global food prices rose 83% higher than in the past 3 years. Costs for each of the world's major commodity crops climbed to historic peaks. Corn prices climbed 31% over their normal value from the previous year. Rice, 74%. Soy, 87%. Wheat, 130%. It was a grain price surge the world had never seen before. For those who can afford it, price hikes come and go almost unnoticed. But for the over 16 million people who can't, a mere 1% price hike means hunger.
When we got food price inflation in 2008 and prices jumped 3, 4, 5 times, suddenly food wasn't so cheap anymore. People couldn't afford the food. That's why people go hungry. It's not because there's not enough food, there's plenty of food. It's because they can't afford it.
The major problem now, as a result of the food price crisis of 2008 and the economic crisis that we've had since then, we have ended up with slightly over 1 billion people who are undernourished. Instead, the number has gone up. It was 800 million then, and it's 1 billion now.
If there is enough food, can market forces be the only cause for all these hungry people? The demand on the world food supply is not that simple.
Now we have China moving up the food chain, India beginning to move up the food chain, and a couple billion other people in the developing countries trying to do that.
Could one of the threats to the world's food supply come from the rise of the 3 billion meat-hungry middle class? Their hunger for more meat is another strain on the world's staple crops. Today, cows are fed grain instead of grass. They need to eat an astounding 8 kilograms of grain to provide just 1 kilogram of beef. 8 kilograms of grain that could feed an average person for over 43 days.
The difference between someone living on high on the food chain in terms of grain consumption and someone living low is roughly a 4-to-1 difference. So where we want to live on the food chain very much determines how many people the earth can support.
But it's not just where we are on the food chain. The world is already supporting more people than ever before. Every year, the world's population grows by 80 million people. By the year 2050, there could be 9 billion of us on Earth. Will the world's agriculture be able to feed that many people?
And if we can't get the brakes on population growth, if we can't begin for the more affluent among us to move down the food chain, then food could become the weak link. What we forget is that agriculture as it exists today has evolved over an 11,000-year period of rather remarkable climate stability. So agriculture is designed to maximize output with that system. As that system begins to change, then agriculture will increasingly be out of sync with that system, and it will take a toll on production.
But that period of climate stability may be coming to an end. Some scientists predict that the Earth's temperature will rise by 6 degrees Celsius this century. And for staples wheat, corn and rice, every 1 degree rise in temperature means a 10% decline in yield. It could be one of the most massive threats to food security we have ever faced.
Climate change is real. Climate has always been changing, of course, but we're now in an era where the human effects on our climate are on par or even exceeding some of the natural variations.
I think the general consensus is that 2 degrees Celsius rise in global temperatures is one of those first tipping points. The second, more catastrophic tipping point would be a global temperature rise in the order of up to 5 degrees Celsius, at which significant ecological